Welcome to the Finance Marketing Podcast, a show that empowers finance professionals to market their businesses in ways that feel good and actually achieve results. I'm your host, Hillary. I've been working with folks in financial services to develop marketing strategies that work and create results-oriented marketing content since 2020. And I've learned a lot about what works in finance marketing, what doesn't work, and where financial services pros get stuck. Join us each Friday as we explore real, effective ways to market your finance business and connect with folks who truly embody your ideal clients. My guest today is Steven Courson, self-described as the contrarian investor preaching lifestyle design. Steven started his career in corporate sales and quickly became disillusioned by the lifestyle he was building with these kinds of positions. He started to learn more about personal finance and eventually used this concept of lifestyle design to end up retiring from the corporate world by the age of 34. As a financial coach, Steven has now built an entire suite of resources, including courses, communities, and mastermind experiences for people who are interested in rejecting the societal norms of broke and busy to build wealth and design the life they desire. My conversation with Steven today goes into great depth about what it takes to build, market, and sell digital products, which I am so excited to share with you because I know many financial coaches and even some financial advisors who want to enhance their impact and reach with digital products. As many have found, however, marketing and selling digital products requires a much different approach than selling your services. Steven shares with me today a whole host of mistakes he's made as well as the successes he's had, and he has a lot of great insights to share about building a personal brand and becoming a true thought leader in online spaces. I'm so excited to share this conversation with you, so let's dive in. Well, Steven, thank you for sitting down with me today. I'm so excited to talk about marketing with all of your products and just your whole journey into what you're doing today. So how are you?
Doing good. Can't wait to tell you about all the ways I screwed up and the handful of ways that things actually worked out.
Yes, and I know that a lot of people also cannot wait to hear that. So I would love to start by just letting our listeners get to know you a little bit and what it is you do and what you're all about. So if you want to just give us your origin story, that would be great.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, my villain story, as I like to say sometimes. Basically, it all started in 1987 when two people fell in love one night. No, I'm kidding. We won't go that far back. I started off my career, graduated college from the University of Florida and got right into corporate sales, was working with Fortune 500 companies, doing things like tech, management consulting, different things like that in a sales role. And it was really interesting because when I graduated college, 2 months before, I had a conversation. I had been hired by this company, Gartner, and I had a conversation with the HR lady, and she was speaking a different language. I was like, what is she saying? And she's using these fancy terms like 401k, IRA, ESPP, like all this other stuff. And I'm like, I don't know what any of this is. Deductibles. So I'm a senior in college thinking I got things figured out, quickly realizing I don't know a damn thing. So the one superpower I have is I'm a voracious reader. So I drive as fast as I can to the local Books A Million. And thank God the very first book I picked up was Rich Dad, Poor Dad. And I think a lot of people, that was kind of their intro. It's the gateway drug of the personal finance books, in my opinion. It's got some really good concepts in there, but it's told in a story fashion. So I think it's engaging. It's not as dry as some of the others. But yeah, that really kind of got me started. Well, fast forward later into my career, started doing, won't get too much how I got into it, but basically started doing a lot of financial coaching. And this was just on the side. And I wasn't coming at it so much. I had just read so much and taken in so much information. I was doing very well for myself financially. And people were just like, man, I have the same job as you. We're making the same money. How are you doing so much better than I am? And it came down to lifestyle choices, right? And so basically what ended up happening from there, this was probably about 6-ish years ago, and I started coaching people one-on-one. Now, the big difference of what I was doing was I told people, I said, we're not going to just focus on dollars. I said, I think that's one of the biggest mistakes that people make is that they jump right into personal finance. And one of my hot takes I've been pushing recently is that lifestyle design is greater than personal finance. And normally the first thing that people think is, what the heck is lifestyle design? So very quickly, lifestyle design is about 3 questions. It's about what do you want, why do you want it, and how are you going to get it? It's pretty much it. And it sounds really simple, but when you really dive into that, and especially with those first 2 questions, it's like, man, I mean, I was talking to a CEO in Dubai just recently, right? Like, this isn't just something for broke people, you know, you're like trying to get out of debt. It's like people who are doing well and making money need this just as bad, if not worse, because they have so many options available to them. Right. So I was talking to the CEO in Dubai of this cybersecurity company. He had reached out to me cold, and he was just going through and, you know, kind of giving me his financial situation. And, you know, he's dropping all these big numbers and everything. And, you know, the issues he has are not our issues. Let's put it that way. It's like, do I buy a Cartier watch? My wife wants a Birkin bag this week. I don't know what to do. And I'm like, yeah, sorry, dude, you got problems. So basically he goes through this 20 minutes of this 30-minute meeting. And I can tell he's kind of like, what are you going to bring to the table? Which was weird because he reached out to me. But I just stopped and I asked him a question. I just said, okay, well, man, listen, I don't know anything about Dubai and tax law, and you're coming from the UK and all that. I said, clearly you got all that figured out. That's great. It's like, let me just ask you one question. I said, what do you want? And he's like, well, what do you mean? Like, for the business? And I was like, no. I said, you're married, you got 2 kids, you got this thriving business. I said, what do you want in your life? I said, think about the next 3 years. I said, what do you want personally? And I don't know if you like swearing on this, so I'll keep it clean. But basically, he was like, damn, I have no idea. He's like, I have no idea. And then we started talking a little bit longer. I said, well, now I got to ask you one more question. He goes, well, what's that? I said, well, you're married. And he said, yeah. I said, well, we got to revise that question. It's not what do you want. It's what do you both want? He's like, oh, I have no idea what she wants.
Wow.
So it's just, again, it doesn't matter where you are in your life. One of the things I would say, and I'm going to say this to all the financial professionals out there as well, because this is something I think is incredibly important. A lot of times we want to get right into the fixing. A lot of people get into helping people with their finances because we want to fix the problems they have. You got credit card debt, this is how we're going to fix it. You got student loans, this is how we're going to knock it out. You want to buy a house, this is how we're going to get you there. We want to jump straight to those problems that have dollars and cents answers. But the problems that we really have, that we have to get past first, are what do we want for our life, right? Maybe your dream was to live in a van and travel the world. Okay, well, can you make that happen in the next 2 years? You know, those kinds of things. If not, we end up just optimizing our budgets for the life that we want. So sorry, that was a little tangent there, but that's what I started doing for basically the past 6 years. And then I just kind of reached the point to where I was about to get promoted. I'll be transparent about it. It was going to be $350K a year plus commissions, bonuses, moving up, you know, tech management. They pay big dollars. And, you know, this is success, right? I made it, but I was miserable. I was like, I can't stand this anymore. I don't want to do this anymore. It had nothing. I personally did not feel challenged. I was like, I've already done this. I've climbed this mountain. This isn't exciting to me. There's absolutely nothing wrong with going that route. But for me, I just realized if I do this, I'm going to get the golden handcuffs. I'm not going to be able to quit that kind of money. And I turned down the promotion. I quit. And for the next year, made zero money as I focused putting together what ended up being 4 different courses and then an online community.
Okay.
So that pretty much brings us to present day. I have launched all of them. I've had beta users in them, had a couple hundred people take some of the courses. I've kept it very low key on the marketing because I was waiting to get, I did things very differently than what I would recommend for people. I wanted the full suite of everything done instead of building piece by piece. And the reason for that, just bluntly, is I didn't need the money. So I was like, I want to do this the right way. For me was the right way. I want this full suite so everybody has all the options up front. I want to tell all the entrepreneurs and financial professionals out there, you do not have to do it that way. It's totally fine to do it piecemeal. If anything, I'd probably recommend it. But That was just the decision for me because of the unique position I was in. So now here we are. I would have launched it at the beginning of January, but I got signed up for a TED Talk about making positive change in your life with alter egos based off an experiment I did on myself. It's kind of crazy. And now that's done. And now here we are talking to your lovely self. And yeah, that's pretty much the way too long version of how I got to be where we are now. So.
Okay, well, I have so many follow-up questions. No, that was a really great.
I gave you a lot of meat there. You can pick away wherever you want.
I know that was a really great origin story. So thank you. And I'm so excited for this conversation because a lot of my listeners either have a digital product or would like to add some sort of digital product to their offer suite, but don't realize what kind of marketing has to go into a digital product for you to make any money whatsoever from it. And so I'm really excited to ask you some questions about that.
Absolutely.
One question I have.
And I will say this, just as I want to get to the question, but this may spur a whole nother thing.
Yeah.
Another way to think about courses sometimes is absolutely revenue generation, big part of it. But another, for service-based people, right? Capacity is another thing that's really important about courses. Because what you may do is not necessarily make the course for additional revenue generation, or maybe it's minor. But what it can do is it can free up lots of time for you and enable you to bring on more clients than you did before. So maybe, and we can talk about this more, the course is not necessarily meant to be the thing that is actually making you the money.
Right.
It might free you up time to do more of what you're already doing successfully. So just wanted to throw that caveat because not a lot of people think about that.
Yeah, I actually love that kind of mindset shift. Is like you can increase your impact, but also get your time back for yourself as well.
Yeah.
And I will also throw in there just so you have some context from me. I'm actually in the middle of building a course with a partner for a separate side business. So I am right in the middle of that process right now. We have some beta testers in our course and community and things like that. So that's another reason why I'm really excited to hear about your journey. So I would love to know, so that year that you were building your, I'm going to call it a product suite.
Yep.
You wanted all of it. Were you doing any one-to-one coaching during that time, or were you solely focused on building?
That's a great question. So at that point, I actually only had one person that kind of went through part of the year with me because she had signed up for some long-term coaching, and I didn't want to just leave her cold turkey. It was one person. It was fine. But all my other ones, ongoing engagements I had, I just let them know the business model was going to be changing. I made sure I left them in a good spot. And, they're the first people on my mailing list for, when I open things up. And some of them have been my first clients the second that I did. So it's been really nice to know, like, hey, people are coming back. So something about this is working.
Right.
So I would say that for me, I just focused on building. And one of the key reasons outside of just the fact, like I said, financially, I didn't need the money. The bigger reason, honestly, was personal brand. I didn't have a personal brand. I was coming from sales. So nobody knew because I couldn't advertise because of the companies I was working at. I couldn't advertise the fact that I had a side gig on any of my personal channels because I was contractually not allowed to. So because of that, everything had to be kept on the DL. And nobody knew that, hey, even though I'd been doing this for 6 years, it was pretty much all just word of mouth stuff. So I knew when I was going to change that up, I said, well, I have to completely change, the way that people perceive me, and I have to earn trust because let's face it, outside of maybe health, money is the number one area to where you have to earn people's trust before they're ever going to consider listening to you.
Right.
So I knew I was going to have to put in a lot of the work. And if I was selling something along the way, it was going to make it harder for me to earn people's trust during that time. So that was where I just really focused on my podcast. I did a lot on LinkedIn, where you and I, fortunately were able to meet, and, am now really expanding to YouTube on top of that, just to make sure that I was giving away really good, actionable financial advice in asking for absolutely nothing. Okay. So, and I think that's been one of the key contributors to my early success.
I think that is so smart. You have to lay the groundwork. And for you, am I right in saying that that was a year of laying groundwork and asking?
Solid 12 months.
A
Yep.
solid 12
The
months.
brand building honestly was even more like 15 months, but yeah,
Okay.
it was definitely that long.
And so that took place on a podcast and on LinkedIn primarily?
Yeah, the podcast I had been doing for about 3 years.
Okay.
I hadn't pushed it that much. It was just something that was happening. And a lot of that was because this plays into the course. There were just so many things, like a lot of my early popularity, a lot of the reasons people wanted to talk to me early on is because I was an early investor in crypto. I started investing in crypto back in 2017. And the reason I got into that had to do with the fact that I was in the technology space. And I saw this as potentially disruptive and that I could invest in it. So I was like, well, this is great. So back in 2017, Bitcoin was actually not the first thing that I bought. It was actually Ethereum. And one of the things, which is weird, most people knew about Bitcoin, but like I said, I found out a different way. Well, the thing that really made people want to start talking to me was the fact that I was kind of this voice of reason. Like you had two sides of the fence with crypto. It was like, crypto is evil and it's only used by criminals, which is funny because last I checked, criminals use cash a whole bunch. You ever seen a mob movie? Come on, people. Like, chill. So let's not pretend like cash has never been used for nefarious purposes. It's just a weak argument. So, and then the second thing on the total opposite end of the spectrum was you had guys being like, yo, sell your house and YOLO your life savings into crypto, right? And it's just like, I don't feel like I'm special, but I come off being, like, oh my gosh, what's this Steven guy? He's radical because he's saying, guys, it's a really risky thing. Great to invest in if you want to do risky stuff, but only do like 10, 20% of your investable income.
Right.
Mind blowing, So it was hilarious. I'm like, who would have thought that common sense in this day and age would be so radical of an idea?
You built a platform based on being a voice of reason.
It's becoming less and less common. We're going to have to come up with a different name than common sense nowadays for a lot of different things.
Right. Okay. And then I heard you also mention a mailing list. Was that part of your personal brand building during this year as well?
Yeah. I started that a little late. That was probably about 4 months ago, 5 months ago.
Okay.
I could be wrong on those dates. So if somebody joined sooner,
Yeah.
calls in and he's like, he's lying. I'm sorry. I'm not 100% sure on those dates.
Yeah.
But I think that was right around then because I did have a website that I launched specifically for that. So I want to say that was like 5-6 months ago. So that was just a learning process for me of realizing social media is great, but you don't have any way to really contact those people outside of the social media accounts. And I was getting put, because if you've noticed on LinkedIn, I'm a little bit more of a personality compared to some of the other people who are a little drier on there. And I was getting put in LinkedIn jail all the freaking time. And it was driving me crazy. And that's what got me to start the mailing list. People are like, if you get banned off this platform,
right.
You're not, there it goes. So I was like, man, I've got to find another way to do this. So that's why I started that. And by the way, I'm not even saying like terrible things. Like I got put in because I used the word idiot one time. And I was like, really? I was like, well, there are idiots. What do you want me to call them? Doubling down is not what you do to LinkedIn people, by the way. So
right.
yeah,
Right.
they're a different breed.
That's a good piece of advice for listeners. Don't argue.
Oh, but guess what? You can do whatever you want if you pay for premium, by the way. So as long as there's money involved, then all my LinkedIn jail problems went away. So I pay $40 a month for a hall pass on getting to say whatever I want.
So now you can say
there you
idiot.
Go. Yeah, values in this world, ladies and gentlemen, corporate values are only as good as the dollars that come with them. So there you go.
Okay, well, I would love to hear you talk a little bit about how you grew the mailing list. Are you willing to share how big it is?
Oh yeah, it's nothing huge. It's I think I'm close to 1,100 on it.
Okay, yeah, that's great. So how did you?
Huge. I don't know actually.
No, that's really good.
In marketing terms, I'm not good with the numbers. So 1,100.
I think for starting 4 to 5 months ago, that's very impressive. I'll share my numbers too.
And for the record, just so everybody knows, probably 80% of that came in because of I did start blogging around that time. 80% of that lead gen has been for the greatest budget template ever, which is what I actually call it. So I would just post every once in a while and say, hey, by the way, if you really want to get serious about your money, click this link. simple lead magnet. They punch it in, they get it emailed to them. That's it. So it's like, if you are just starting off and building a lead magnet, number one, it's a really good spreadsheet. Like I'm not great with Excel. I paid somebody for this. It's a simple one pager. People make their finances too complicated. Don't think that you have to come up with some crazy type of lead magnet.
Right.
It's like you can get an Excel budget. Like if you open Excel or Google Sheets, they have a budget template for you. Mine's still a little better, but that one will work just fine. So it's like, don't think that you have to go crazy with some of these lead magnets. I mean, obviously a good quality one can really convert for you, but if you're just starting off, offer what you got.
Yeah. I love that. What a lot of businesses already have, especially ones that are service-based businesses, is they already have something that they're giving to their clients, to complete a task or whatever, and you can easily turn that into a lead magnet, which I think
that was exactly what this was. I literally would give this to people that I worked with. It was going in the course. It's the one they use, and I'm like, yeah, I'll give it away for free. I don't care.
Yeah, why not?
You've probably got something you can give away. You don't even need to make anything.
So did you ever run ads to that lead magnet?
I've never ran an ad before.
You've never run an ad before. So you grew from 0 to 1,100 purely based
I'm
on...
not against ads. Happy to do it, but I'm very much a stickler about leaving my personal money personal and leaving the business money business.
Yep.
So because of that, yeah, I have money I could throw at ads, but I said I'm not going to do that till I feel the business is in a place, because I feel like that's a huge mistake that I've worked with a lot of creators. I've worked with a lot of solopreneurs. And I think one of the biggest mistakes they can make sometime is they can pull money from their personal war chest to fund the business. And you have to do that to a certain degree starting off. But when there's not a boundary, there's not a set amount, it's I'm only going to spend 10 grand, 20 grand, whatever. And you just keep, basically Ukraining this thing like the U.S. government. It's just an open blank checkbook. We just write as much money to them as we can.
Right.
Sorry, not trying to be political. I just laugh at it sometimes. It's like every time I turn around, we're giving them another $100 billion and we still got homeless on the streets, but whatever. So, but it's like if you do that with your own personal finances, then what ends up happening is you really fudge the numbers of what your business is doing.
Yep.
And that can create really bad habits. And people can artificially think that they're more successful than they actually are. It's like, well, you thought that you made $10,000 this month, but you forgot that you took $4,000 a couple months ago from your own war chest to fund these ads, and that messed up your CAC, cost acquisition, customer cost, whatever. So that's one thing I would really recommend to people. When you're starting off especially, make sure that whatever you are going to fund from your personal war chest to your business, that there is a strict boundary on that, because you need that for data purposes.
Yep. Well, I think that's just such a great thing for people to hear, is that you don't have to run ads to a lead magnet to build up an email list. I mean,
absolutely not.
Yeah. What you did was you put in the time up front to build a platform and help people trust you. And then it's easy to get them into an email list.
And for a lot of people out there, again, I was starting at zero on this brand. There's a lot of people, some of the best new businesses, solopreneurs, side hustles, whatever, they're just going adjacent to the industry they're already in. If I would have been doing a sales course, I definitely wouldn't have done it the way I did it, because I had instant credibility.
Right.
I could be like, yeah, guys, I hit Winter Circle and President's Club at every single position I was in every year. Okay. That course will sell itself at that point.
Right.
And the brand is there. But with this, I knew I was starting at zero. So for everybody else out there, take that to be encouraging. If you were already in this industry and now you're going at it, you'll be able to do what I did much faster.
Well, you mentioned before I hit record, you mentioned you would be happy to talk about some of the mistakes that you made in your marketing and possibly brand building. Can you share any of those with me?
Oh yeah, one of my biggest mistakes is that I'm just such a perfectionist and have to do everything so well. So I'm kidding. It's always my favorite thing that people bring up in interviews. Say something, about yourself you got to work on. Well, I'm just such a perfectionist. I am not a perfectionist. My wife is different, but no. I've made so many mistakes. So, let's narrow it down a little bit. Like specifically with launching, personal brand building? Like, what would you like to know? Because, like I
Yeah,
said, I love talking about them all, but
let's
there's
start.
lots of places we could go.
I'm curious if you think, and I think it's hard to say like you've made mistakes in personal brand building because it's all a journey. But I'm curious to know in that year of personal brand building, is there anything that sticks out to you that you're like, I kind of regret that, or I shouldn't have done that, or I wish I would have done this differently?
No, plenty of things. I mean, one of the big things that I recommend really early on, I mean, first thing is not building a mailing list. So just do that from the get-go. That would be one of them. The second thing that I would say I regret on the personal brand building side is not being more intentional with who I wanted to be from a brand perspective. I was kind of falling into it. The thing that I did not realize was that I was actually being a little disingenuous, which is very strange because if you talk to anyone who knows me, the last thing even my enemies will say about me is that I am not a genuine person. I am genuine to a fault. But really, to a fault. But the problem with that was that I felt this need to come off differently because I'm like, oh, I'm being a professional. I'm building a personal brand now, right? And because of that, and because I didn't actively sit down and go, well, what are core things about me that I want to make sure I portray in this personal brand? Not so I look good to everybody, but so it's helpful and people know, oh, I'm going to want to do this. So like, for instance, I'll give you one word that's part of my personal brand, action-oriented. I am an action-oriented person. I want my content, the things that I tell people to be very action-oriented, even if it's something like, hey, stop what you're doing right now, grab a sticky note and write this down. You know, put this on your calendar so you don't forget it. It's like I want people to step away from any interaction with me, you know, that we're talking about this stuff and feel like I have something to do. You know, I don't want them to figure that out. So just something as simple as that. If I was doing that, I felt like I had to be more of, okay, I'm doing personal branding, so I have to educate people. And that wasn't wrong. And part of what I do is educating. But what ended up happening is I ended up stripping away a lot of my personality in my content early on because I was like, well, that's not educational. People aren't going to look at this guy who's like, you know, all the personality that I am and all this other stuff. It just needs to be boring, dry, not to hate on him, but Justin Welsh type content, right? It's like Justin Welsh, for anybody who knows, he's the OG LinkedIn creator. Everybody knows him. The guy is a genius businessman. I took his course before he blew up. I mean, it was great. Not hating on him at all. But anybody who's seen his content for years knows that it's boring, okay? Like but that's his brand. You know, it's just going to be straightforward, good stuff, but it's boring. And I thought that's what I had to be. And that was the mistake that I made. So I would say for anybody out there doing it, really before you start putting content out, just I think it was a Chris Do exercise that I found on YouTube. He is a agency guy with the future, fantastic mind of his. And I think I just did 5 words. It was just, if I was going to do 5 words that are true about me, that I want to make sure come across in my content, what would they be? And once I did that, it was so much better. My content was received so much better. I felt better writing it. I was more excited to write it because I was like, well, this is truly me. I'm not this professor who's, you know, teaching you about content. It's like, no, I'm a energetic, fun guy. And yeah, I want to help you out and teach you stuff. So that was really all it was. It was a mentality thing, but putting those 5 words down on paper really helped me.
Oh, I think that's really powerful. I've been through a similar journey of like, I think when everyone starts out, like, for example, posting on LinkedIn, you get stuck in this box of every post has to add value, 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 value. And a lot of times people just want to get to know you and your personality and hear stories and things like that. And those are just, if not more valuable than your quote unquote value posts, I think. So I just really appreciate that you said that because I think that's something that a lot of people get stuck in the beginning.
Well, and the other thing too is this, and this has definitely been a journey learning how to do this. Like I knew this early on, but especially coming from sales, to be effective in sales, you have to understand how to tell a good story, right? That's relevant to what people are learning. And something that I am continuing to work on, and even in the past month have really revamped how I do this, is that you can tell a personal story and educate people at the same time.
Right.
So that's something I've really been trying to do, is sprinkle in content of like, here's a personal story of how I, learned or made a mistake, and then what I learned from that. And it's like people will learn through osmosis of the story. So I totally agree with you on that.
Now you also mentioned, so you just launched your suite of courses, right?
Yep, the True Wealth Experience.
Can you talk me through what your launch process has been like?
Yeah, absolutely. So again, not necessarily saying this is the best blueprint out there for everybody. There's going to be bits and pieces that'll be universal for everyone. In general, what I did is I did do launches along the way with the courses. I did not just finish everything and then launch, because when I launched, I was smart enough to know that especially with the first two, I was like, I don't know what I don't know.
Right.
So a lot of times with the course building, even though I brought in consultants and I did take some courses on building a course and things like that, I still was like, I need beta testers. I need people in here to tell me if the content's good, different things like that. So I did mini launches along the way. And by a mini launch, basically what I mean was it was a launch party with no follow-up. Because the follow-up on a launch, and we can talk about that more, is incredibly important. I purposefully did not do that on the first two because I only wanted a handful of people to begin with. So I was like, I just need some people in there to try it out, pay for it, because that is important. You want beta users on anything that you do, but do not give it away for free. Give it away at a discount and let people know that there are strings attached to this. I'm going to give you an 80% discount on this course, but in return, I expect that you're going to have it done by this date, and that we will have a meeting scheduled, and you're going to give me feedback on these 3 things. When you do that, it does 2 things. Number one, it gives clear boundaries and expectations for what their role is taking this. And 2, it justifies the discount to them. So that's something I would highly recommend across the board for anybody doing it. Make sure you get beta testers. And if you're wondering how many, I would personally, I'd like to say at least 10. I think the most I ever did was 25. You don't want to do too many, right? Because then at some point, opinions just become opinions.
Right.
And again, give them direction. Tell them, like, I want to know if the content is good. Tell me, find like 2 things that were really valuable that stood out. Was the video quality good? I had one girl tell me one time, she goes, on this one video, I just loved how casual you were about everything, and you screwed up and you just left it in. And we're like, hey, whatever, it's cool. And I was like, yeah, no, totally. Yeah, which video was that again that you're talking about? And then she's like, oh, yeah, no, it's this one. And you just didn't talk for like 30 seconds. And I'm like, yeah, that was just a screw up that I didn't edit out. And thank you, because now I can go edit it out. So, it's just little things like that. It's just funny to hear what people will say. Like, oh, I just loved how natural you were being. I was like, sitting there for 30 seconds saying nothing. No, I was trying to figure out where I messed up. So yeah, it's just funny. So beta testers are great. Please do it. Don't give it away for free. They won't take it seriously. Like I said, give it to them at an 80% discount. It's fine. Get 10 to 25 people in there. You're golden. So that was really a big thing early on that I learned that was really important. So mini launches, like I said, that was really just a launch party, got people to sign up, got my beta testers in there, and then I did 0 follow-up, no email drips, nothing, just because I didn't want it yet.
Yeah.
And then when I got done with everything and I did the full launch for the suite of products, then I did a full launch, which was, the big launch party with all of the email follow-up, strip campaigns, stuff like that. So.
Okay, cool. So any mistakes that you learned from your mini launches or your full launch?
So the first launch was a huge disaster. I got nobody to sign up for one really obvious reason. I didn't tell people what it was about.
Isn't that funny?
I don't know. Well, I had planned to. This is what happened. So I don't know how much people are going to learn from this one because this is just so obvious, but there's a couple lessons, I guess, to be learned from it. So the first one, I was doing a big giveaway. So what I did is I told people, I said, hey, come here. We're going to do this big giveaway. I'm going to give away $1,000. No, it wasn't 1,000. It was 10,000. I said, I'm giving away $10,000 in prizes. Now that $10,000 number was only about $500 cash. I gave a couple Amazon gift cards away and different things like that were like $250, little things like that. The rest of it was I had like a big wheel behind, or I did one of those digital like Wheel of Fortune type things, put everybody's name in that was there, spun the wheel. Okay, you get a free course. I was Oprah, right?
Yeah.
You get a free this, you get a free that. I was writing it on the board. Everybody was loving it. They were having fun. What I did not do is I ran out of time. I planned on telling everybody what the courses were at the end and what it was about, but I ran out of time. And it went too late, and this was on lunch. And then the other thing I realized was, well, since it was only a giveaway, well, as soon as people saw that they won something, they left. They're like, cool, send it to me. And then they didn't feel need to stick around. So that was super dumb. So learned a ton of stuff on that one. Number one, explain first up front what in the world it is that you're giving away if you do a giveaway. Two, giveaways are a great thing to do on a launch. And don't just give away stuff that you're doing, because a lot of people are showing up because they're curious, but they don't actually know if it's something they're going to want to buy. But you will get a lot of people that are interested in a $250 Amazon gift card. Yeah, sure, I'll take 45 minutes out to potentially win that, right? So even if you just put a little money into it for some type of cash prize, you will get a lot more people to sign up for because of that. Because I did not do the cash prize on the second launch, even though it was a better offer in my opinion, but I had a lot less new people sign up because of that. That was a big thing I noticed. So, so that would be a mistake that I learned from the other time is I was like, well, giving away free stuff the last time didn't work. Well, it turns out giving away cash prizes like that really do help get people in the door, right? Like I said, make sure you explain what it is you're actually trying to sell people eventually. So those would be the big things that I would say I learned early on. The one thing I did right on all of them, and this is just wisdom I picked up from other people, you really need to push this thing for a minimum of 30 days. Do not think that you are going to talk about this once or twice a week before, and a ton of people are just going to sign up. They're not.
Right.
The other thing is this. You're going to promote it for 30 days minimum, and 80% of everybody's going to sign up in the last 24 to 48 hours.
Yes.
It's just human nature. You will lukewarm them up to it. They'll be like, oh, that looks interesting. They're not going to sign up. They'll see a post on it a couple weeks later. Oh, yeah, no, I might check that out. Still won't sign up later. Hey, guys, last call. It's tomorrow. Oh, shoot. Yeah, I forgot. Okay, click, add to calendar.
Yeah.
This is just how we work as humans right now.
And I don't know about you, but the emotional or mental kind of waiting period for that, I mean, you can spend that entire week or however long your launch period is, however long your doors are open, you can spend that entire week thinking like, shit, it failed, And then, but the last day, the last few hours, you realize it didn't actually fail. People just wait till the last minute.
They just wait till the last minute. And that's why I think a lot of people make the mistake of going, well, if they're going to wait till the last minute anyway, I'm just going to launch this like 5 days before and start talking about it.
Right.
Doesn't work that way all the time. You need that period really to do two things. Number one, find out what you got to test promotions and be like, and for me, again, I wasn't doing ads. I was just, posting about it. But I had one post that I didn't even mean to be promotional. And it ended up blowing up. It got like 40,000 impressions on LinkedIn. And I was like, really? And then I realized that I actually told a personal story. It actually wasn't even promoting the giveaway that much at all, minus the last blurb. I just told a personal story, and then boom, it ended up blowing up, and 90% of the people that ended up signing up came from that. So you need that time to figure out what's the best way to promote it, what's getting traction with people, and then, like I said, you just got to warm them up. It's taking them down the marketing funnel.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, I love this. I mean, it's all about test, and you just have to give yourself enough time to do that testing and actually commit to doing the testing and continuing to show up. So I think that's great advice. Last question for you, and then I will ask you to share where people can find you. So for anyone who is maybe stepping into digital product world, moving from service-based into digital product world, is there one piece of advice or encouragement or anything like that you would want to share looking back?
Yeah, I think a lot of times there's a lot of really good things. What I would say is this. A lot of times what you think is valuable that is going into a course is valuable, but it's not, you don't have to talk about it as long as you think you do. And I think one of the biggest mistakes that people make, and I would know this because I talk a lot, is the fact that you need to take the best courses, in my opinion, normally generalize 80% of what you know on a topic, right? But if you sat down with somebody for a meeting and you went over that 80% with them, that does not mean that what you talked about in that hour-long meeting needs to be an hour-long video. What that means is that if we were having a one-on-one meeting right now on that 80% that's going to go in the course, that hour that we talked needs to be whittled down to about 20 minutes. And I'm saying this because it's the number one thing that everybody loves about my content. Everybody loves this about I viewed every single part of there is no 40-minute video in mind. Now, I do have some activities for people that may look at it. I do have some activities to where I'm like, this is the activity, and I will do the activity with people. I will walk through the whole thing because some people like that hand holding. That's different. When you're talking about like just here's, content or whatever, I try not to have a video that's longer than 8 minutes. I think of it like YouTube. And it's all because the number one challenge you're going to have with courses is course completion.
Yep.
Across the board, if you have over 50% course completion, you're a master.
Yep.
Seriously. That's how bad course completion is.
Yep.
So 33%, I believe, is roughly about like where the average bar for success is right now. So the number one thing, and I do have a higher course completion rate than that. And I attribute that to the fact that people get in and they go, here's a 5-minute video. Okay, that's great. It's followed by a 2-minute video. Okay, cool. I can go to the next one. Hey, here's an 8-minute video. Great. I've done 3 things instead of just making that one long video.
Yeah.
I feel like I'm getting somewhere personally.
Yeah.
I feel like I'm progressing through the course. One thing I hate about the Harry Potter books, great books, right? The last one's 700 pages and like 11 chapters. Okay?
Right.
Like, holy crap, man. Like, Lord of the Rings, getting through these books. It's like, I just read 100 pages. I'm still in the same damn chapter. Like,
right.
Are you kidding me? Like, I don't feel that personal sense of I'm really making it through this. So when you are creating content, what you want to communicate to somebody, cut it down by, like I said, 60 to 80%, get it really concise, and don't leave a lot of preamble. Just get your point across and make it short and concise. And if you've got a 20-minute concept you need to do, split it into 4 different sections.
Yeah.
If you do that, you will increase course completion. People will feel like they're getting through it faster, even though it's the same amount of time, and therefore they will get through more of the course than not. That would probably be the number one thing I would say.
Oh, I'm so glad you said that. I think that's such an important piece of advice because you have to give people those small wins for them to keep going. It's just such a psychological nugget of wisdom. So I really appreciate that. So Steven, where can people find you?
Yeah, so the best place to find me is on my website, so coursonsolutions.com, COURSON Solutions. And if you're trying to connect with me, LinkedIn and YouTube, you just punch in my name and I'm there. So just started doing YouTube content. Before I was just uploading the YouTube or the podcast videos, but now I'm actually doing like 5 to 8 minute edited YouTube videos, and just started doing it this month. It's actually been going really good. Been excited about it, but
oh, great.
Yeah, that's the best place to get me. And my email's on the website, and then LinkedIn, you can shoot me a DM, and would love to chat with anybody.
Okay, awesome. Well, Steven, this has been a really, really fun conversation. Thank you so much.
I've enjoyed it. Thank you so much
Yeah.
for having me.
Yeah, this is great. And thank you to all the listeners of the Finance Marketing Podcast. We'll see you next week.
Subscribe. It's good.
Subscribe. Thank you. Thank you so much for joining us on this episode of the Finance Marketing Podcast. If you're eager to market your business in a way that feels good and actually gets results, sign up for the Finance Marketing Podcast newsletter in the show notes so you never miss another episode. If you liked what you heard today, please be sure to subscribe to the show on your favorite listening app and leave a review on Apple Podcasts. We'll see you back here next Friday.